March 2024. Celeste runs toward a waiting car. August 2025. David's Tesla, dented, ticketed, covered in pollen. And now, his mother, photographed at a gun shop in Texas. And still, no arrest. In this episode, we break down the new evidence and the unanswered questions. This is Under Investigation. I'm Sleuthy Lucy, and this is Under Investigation, where we highlight active and ongoing cases still developing in the news. Here's what we've uncovered so far. By now, many of you may have seen headlines about this case, but for those who haven't, here are the facts at the center of it all. On September 8, 2025, workers at a Hollywood impound lot noticed a foul odor coming from a Tesla that had recently been towed. Inside the front trunk, police found the decomposed remains of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a teenager missing from Lake Elsinore for more than a year. The Tesla was registered to 20-year-old artist David Anthony Burke, known to millions of fans as David. And while he was on tour when the discovery was made, his car, his home, and now even his family have become the focus of an intensifying investigation. In this episode, we're not just retracing the timeline. We're looking at the new details, the 2024 surveillance footage, the Tesla that sat covered in pollen and tickets, and the sighting of David's mother in Texas, as we try to understand why, even now, there's still been no arrest. This is a developing story, and here's what we've learned since my last deep dive. Reports and family posts online suggest that Celeste had run away in January, February, March, and again in April of 2024. Each time, her family was left scrambling for answers. Her February disappearance was memorialized in her mother's first public-facing post on Facebook, shared on February 18th. Though she had created her profile years earlier, it appears this was the first time she used it, resharing a post her sister made, pleading for help to bring Celeste home. Then the following month, on Tuesday morning, March 19th, surveillance cameras in Lake Elsinore captured one of the last clear images of her. It was around 7 a.m., a school day. She was just 13 years old, an age where she should have been in class, not vanishing from home. In the footage, she's wearing a hoodie and light-colored pants, walking down the street before suddenly breaking into a run. But she isn't carrying a backpack or any school belongings, a clear sign she wasn't headed to class. That video came from Diageo Spirits, a local liquor store. According to the owner, Eli Nadaf, it appeared she was running toward a waiting vehicle, though the car itself is out of frame. Ellie told TMZ that Celeste's sister came into the shop that same morning, asking to review the tapes, hoping to confirm whether Celeste had run away. Her family later confirmed it was her. Ellie turned the footage over to them in hopes it might help bring her back. And just days later, her family posted another missing person flyer online, dated April 5th, 2024, the one that would eventually circulate most widely. This shows a pattern of disappearance. She was vanishing repeatedly, sometimes returning, but slipping further away each time. By the time Celeste's body was discovered in September of 2025, more than a year had passed since she'd first been reported missing. Looking back at her mother's Facebook page reveals a timeline that raises its own questions. Though Celeste had reportedly run away in January of 2024, her mother didn't post about it then. The first public-facing posts about Celeste being missing appear on February 18th, 2024, when she reshared her sister's plea for help. But March raises questions. On March 19th, surveillance footage captured Celeste in Lake Elsinore, and her sister even went to the liquor store that very morning to confirm she was on the tape. Yet, despite the urgency, her mother didn't post about Celeste again until March 28th, 9 days later. In those 9 days, her Facebook activity didn't stop. Instead, her timeline shows food posts, home improvement videos, and inspirational quotes almost daily. Only then, on the 28th, did she finally reshare another family member's plea for help. For some, the gap feels noticeable, not necessarily because parents cope the same way, but because of the contrast. The absence of missing child posts during such a critical time, alongside a steady stream of casual updates. One commenter even accused her of not caring. Then in April, the flyer that circulated most widely listed Celeste as last seen on April 5th. But her mother didn't share anything until April the 25th. And even then, she reposted the March flyer, not the updated one. In between those appeals, her feed had become quite active, filled with memes, food, fashion content, vacation spots, and even posts about other missing children, at least 4. But after the April the 25th post, I found no further mentions of Celeste's disappearance on her timeline. It suggests one of two possibilities. Either Celeste was still in contact with her mother during these periods, perhaps coming and going, or the family dynamic itself was troubled in ways that shaped how these disappearances were handled. Taken together, these details don't erase the tragedy, but they do point to a complicated picture at home. A teenager running away repeatedly, a mother posting inconsistently, and a family left trying to manage a situation far more complex than a single missing person report could ever capture. And then, more than a year later, the focus shifted away from Lake Elsinore to a black Tesla parked in the Hollywood Hills, a car that would soon become the central piece of the puzzle. On August 26th, someone in the neighborhood called police to complain about a suspicious, abandoned vehicle. On August 27th at 2:26 p.m., a parking enforcement officer inspected the Tesla. The record notes a black Tesla passenger car with Texas plates and a rear dent. As procedure, the officer chalked the tires, a standard way of tracking whether a car has been moved. The plan was to return in 72 hours. When the vehicle was still in the same spot, a citation was issued on September 3rd at 12 a.m. for violating the 72-hour parking ordinance. The car was located in front of 1406 Bluebird Avenue, just a block from a residence where David was staying. Photos taken at the time of ticketing told an even clearer story. The car looked like it hadn't moved in weeks, its surface coated in dust, pollen, and sediment, which raises the obvious question. Why would David leave a $100,000 Tesla on the street while he was away on tour? Why not secure it in a garage? Why leave it in plain view for so long? It's been reported that multiple people had access to the vehicle. Perhaps someone in David's orbit parked it there. And with a Tesla's built-in cameras and neighborhood surveillance footage, it seems only a matter of time before investigators can determine who put it there, and who may have last accessed the trunk where Celeste was later found. That may also explain why David has not been arrested. If investigators had enough to link him directly, even a lesser charge could have been filed by now. Police are known to hold suspects on unrelated charges while building a murder case, but in this instance, that hasn't happened. Taken together, these details suggest the situation is far more layered than it appears. The simple explanation, Celeste was found in David's car, so arrest him, doesn't hold when the evidence, at least so far, does not clearly lead back to him. 2 days after the Tesla was ticketed, press reports indicate it was impounded. Some sources say September 5th, others list September 6th. What's notable is that neither the tow truck driver nor the officers who ticketed the car reported a stench at the time. It's possible they attributed any odor to the general area, much like neighbors described when walking past, saying it seemed to come from the nearby bushes rather than the vehicle itself. Finally, in the early hours of September 8th, a tow yard worker noticed a foul odor coming from the Tesla. Police obtained a search warrant, opened the trunk, and made the grim discovery. It may be frustrating to the public, but investigators rarely move forward with an arrest before the autopsy results are in. Until the cause and manner of death are confirmed, police can't risk naming suspects or filing charges. That's especially true when the evidence doesn't point cleanly to a single person. The remains are badly decomposed, and forensic tests for DNA, fingerprints, and possible blood evidence are still pending. Those results can take weeks, sometimes even months, to process. And in cases like this, where time has already passed, potential perpetrators may have had the chance to move or even remove evidence. That makes the work slower, but also more critical, because once charges are filed, the case has to be strong enough to hold up in court. The family's accounts add another layer to this story. Celeste's mother confirmed to TMZ that her daughter had a red tattoo on her right index finger that read, "Shh," the same tattoo David is known to have. For many online, it looked like more than coincidence, a visual link between them that fueled speculation. According to reports, her brother has also spoken out, saying that, on the night Celeste disappeared, she told the family she was going to the movies with David. But how much the family truly knew about him remains unclear. Reports suggest her mother may have only known him by his first name, and possibly never met him in person. Taken together, these details paint a complicated picture. A brother linking David to Celeste's last night at home, a mother acknowledging a shared tattoo, and a household that may not have had the full scope of who David really was. Even David's own friends have spoken out in recent weeks. They described Celeste as David's girlfriend, someone they saw with him often. But they also said they believed she was older, closer to college age. To them, she seemed like a young woman in her late teens, not a 14-year-old eighth grader. She was reportedly seen at parties with David, and to others they appeared to be close, almost like a couple. Separately, sources close to police have said Celeste carried multiple IDs, a detail that may have allowed her to move in circles far beyond her age. But here's the contradiction. While his friends say they assumed she was older, people online were already accusing David of being involved with a much younger girl. Celeste herself even acknowledged the controversy in a live stream comment, making a reference that hinted at the very thing fans were calling out. In photos and appearances, Celeste's identity was often cloaked. Oversized hoodies, large glasses, and camera angles that obscured her face. It seemed intentional, a way of keeping her from being easily recognized. If David ever addresses this directly, his explanation may be that she was a runaway and he wanted to shield her from public view. But for many following the case, the deeper concern isn't the act of hiding itself. It's the question of why she needed to be hidden, and from whom. Those deliberate efforts to conceal her in plain sight suggest that someone understood what was at stake. In late September, attention shifted to David's family. His mother, Colleen, was photographed outside a gun shop in Tomball, Texas. Images showed her holding an AR-15 instruction manual, pacing on the phone, and appearing tense. She was accompanied by a large, bearded man who seemed to act as protection. This was her first public sighting since Celeste's remains were discovered in David's Tesla. Here was a mother who had raised David in a religious household, who reportedly discouraged him from using violent or death-related themes in his music. In interviews, David once recalled her saying, "Not my son," when he leaned into darker lyrics. And now, in the aftermath of this tragedy, she's been seen in public for the first time, outside a Texas gun shop, looking visibly shaken. She may be in fear for her life. Online threats often follow high-profile cases, and they've become all too common in our society. That may be what she's facing right now. Even as investigators work to uncover what happened to Celeste, the rush to judgment and the collateral damage of this case has already reached into every corner of David's family. Even with everything we know now, the investigation is far from over. Detectives are still piecing together the trail, combing through digital evidence, forensic tests, and interviews that may take months to complete. And while the process continues, the unanswered questions grow louder. Why was Celeste so often seen cloaked in hoodies and glasses, her face obscured? Was it simply an attempt to hide her identity, or part of a deeper effort to keep a relationship in the shadows, one that raised serious questions about its appropriateness? Why was David's Tesla left on the street for weeks, dented, ticketed, and covered in dust, instead of secured in a garage or reported stolen? Anyone living in that neighborhood would know it risked being towed, and with that, the secret inside would be exposed. And perhaps the most haunting question of all, has David been leaving breadcrumbs of his life with Celeste in his music, videos, and posts all along? Or has the dark persona he created simply become a convenient cover for someone else's crime? For Celeste's family, the wait for answers is heartbreaking. They're mourning a daughter who was just 15, even as the world's attention swirls around the man whose car held her remains. And now, even his family is under the spotlight. A mother, once proud of her son's success, now navigating fear, scrutiny, and online threats. It's a reminder that in cases like this, tragedy ripples outward, touching far more lives than the ones at the center. Until investigators can connect the evidence into a complete picture, one that will hold up in a courtroom, this case remains unsettled and painful. And the question lingers, will the truth ever be clear enough to bring someone to justice for Celeste's death? This is Under Investigation. Thank you for watching.